All right, thanks for being here, everybody. We're appreciate you guys being here and watching our team get up and down a little bit. Somebody asked me today what will constitute a successful trip, and I said health, coming back healthy. And a great educational experience, and then obviously a chance for us to get to know each other. So that's really what we're hoping to get out of this trip. As I mentioned, it should be a great opportunity for our guys to spend time together, as they have all summer, as well as experience a different country. I've never been to Spain. I don't think anybody has that's on the trip. Mike Shruggy has, but outside of that, I don't think anybody else has. So looking forward to it.
Is everybody going, and is everyone expected to play like full go when you're there?
Yeah, so CJ Walker is not going to go. It was more just he and I talked, and it's a situation where, he's not playing on this year's team. So I just said, hey, why don't you go kind of enjoy some time with family. One of it's not really a downside, but one of the things about these trips is you come back quickly. You don't have a whole lot of summer. So they've been here for a while. It's flown by, but they've been here for a while. And now we're going on this trip, and they're only going to have about 7 or 8 days at home. So I wanted him to spend a little more time. He's not going to be able to play for us, even though he's a big part of our team. Everybody else is full go. The lineups will really vary. I think right now, I'm going to start right now, I think I'm probably going to start the juniors and seniors, just that first game, and start the upperclassmen. And we'll start 3 different lineups. We'll play everybody about equal time, because we're still learning about our team. I don't think at this point, we know enough to say, hey, we definitely have these are our 5 starters.
I guess along those lines, like when you have a guy like CJ who isn't going to play, how do you balance that in terms of practice now and in the season? Because it's partly about getting a feel for who you're going to be playing with, right?
Yeah. He'll practice. He's practiced full go every one of these practice. He was pulled out a little bit today when we went up and down, just because we're obviously a couple days from playing there. But they go through every drill. They experience everything that a regular player would experience, and it helps. He's been in college for a couple years, so he knows what it's like.
This kind of thing must give them just a great end of the summer kind of experience going into school, et cetera, et cetera. Is the bonding the biggest thing, just that you come together?
Yeah, I think that and the chance for all of us to say, man, we got to experience something different, a different culture, a different place. Education's kind of a broad term, right? But that is, I think, the more educated we all can be, the better. And I think when you get a chance to experience a different culture and talk to people from a different country who maybe see things in a different way than you do or grew up differently, I think there's advantages to all that. Not to mention some of the sightseeing and tours we're going to take, but just to experience a different culture is a really good thing. So I would say that's along with it, that along with bonding. Again, I don't think it translates necessarily a whole lot into the next season. We'll see. Maybe I'll feel differently, but in the previous trips it hasn't.
You've said that these practices that you've had don't really match up to what they're going to be like when the season actually starts. But what have you gotten from these 10 practices? What have you been able to try to accomplish?
I think we've learned a little bit more. We've got to learn a little bit more about our incoming players. But still, I wouldn't say that we have we obviously watched them in high school. We evaluated them. I don't know if it's different once you get to play in regular season games. And the thing about us is we know we're going to be challenged. Our early schedule is a tremendous challenge. So there is going to have to be a level of readiness that we're going to have both in our understanding of our team and our guys, and their understanding of how we want to play. But I think that's probably, we've learned there's been some conditioning element too of it. You get a chance to have 8 practice, 9, 10 practices and get some conditioning in.
When you think back to like where you were with last year's team at this point of the year, and you're still kind of getting to know everybody, do you feel like you have more starters in mind at this point than maybe you did a year ago? Or where do you think you might be as far as, like, I know you still have a whole preseason to deal with that.
No,
but like,
not really, because I think the makeup of our team is it's new, maybe newer. They're newer faces in some ways. Even though I was new to that situation, you really did have some guys that you were saying, Kata and JT and Cam had started a lot of games, and then CJ started towards the end of his sophomore year, I think. So you really did kind of have some guys that you said, unless something crazy happens, those guys are going to start and probably play 25 minutes. It's, we'd certainly have some returning guys with experience, but I think there maybe are still things that need to be evaluated more with this group. And that's what we're doing.
You gave Gene a shout out earlier, and now that you've been here a year, just what is your relationship like with Gene Smith? And obviously he's been receptive to this trip and other things. Just how has that relationship, I guess, evolved over the last year?
Yeah, Gene's been tremendous. He's been a tremendous athletic director, and a guy that I have a great deal of respect for. I think our relationship has grown. I think it was kind of happened so quickly, that everything happened so quickly. I think, we'll continue to grow in our relationship. But he and Sheila, Gene and his wife Sheila, who was here tonight, I didn't have a chance to introduce her, but she was here tonight. Gene and Sheila have been tremendous to our family. And he's got a great vision. He's very supportive. And I think he understands that that we have some work ahead of us, but he's been tremendous. I've had, I really consider myself blessed because I really have worked for athletic directors that I trust, I respect, that are honest, that there's not a whole lot of fluff to them. They're pretty straightforward in their approach. And that's what you're looking for in an athletic director.
Caleb mentioned last week that after watching the draft, he kind of wanted to expand his game, whether it be from the perimeter or other things. How much freedom does he have to, step away from the basket a little bit this year, maybe as opposed to last year? And how has he taken that step to maybe elevate his game? Yeah,
I've encouraged him to do that the whole offseason. He needs to be a threat from behind the three-point line. And he has tremendous touch from the free throw line. Now, are we talking about, he's going to be a high volume, Dirk Nowitzki out there? Like, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, both for his individual development and for our team, he needs to be a guy that is guarded from beyond the three-point line. And I've really encouraged him to continue to add that aspect to his game. I'd like for there's no question, I'd like for his three-point attempts to increase significantly. Now, they have to be good ones, but I want those to increase. I want that aspect of his game to continue to evolve. And maybe it won't. I think it'll evolve throughout his career. So that's offensively one of the things that we've stressed. And a lot of it's footwork and shot preparation. He's got good touch. We know that. He can make free throws at a high level. Now we've just got to expand that range, and we've got to continue to work on his foot preparation. And I've encouraged him. We've encouraged him as a staff. We've included it in every skill workout, and excited about that element. I think he made one today in live play. I think it's probably too early to tell what all it's going to look like and the impact that it's going to have. I think that committee was given the charge to try to continue to clean up the game, and this is one aspect that they felt like they needed to. whether or not, they're going to look at this and say, hey, there's probably a better way we can do things, or maybe it wasn't as bad as the one thing I do think is those things that we just came off of in July. There's really good people, and I know the committee knows this as well. There's a lot of really good people involved in that. There's great opportunities for young men, and I don't think the committee's trying to take away any of those opportunities. But to say that I'm well versed in all the changes, as a matter of fact, I just emailed an article to Mike Nettie and said, I need you to kind of go over this with a fine-tooth comb and be able to be ready to discuss this with our staff.
Anything, did you have any input at any point in the process, or are there thoughts that you've had along the way that you think you would do things this way or that way?
Gene and I talked about some things relative to, I think, as he was involved in some of those committee meetings, but it wasn't super specific to summer. It was maybe some other things, some other potential rule changes that we had discussed. Official visits and some other things that we talked about. Not as much the July or the recruiting period. So.
Chris, you said you've never been to Spain, correct?
No, never been to Spain.
So
4 years of Spanish though. So Lori, I will be. I think I'm going to be fluent. I think I'm fluent at this point in Spanish. I really do. So.
Does anyone have a question they want to ask in Spanish then?
Yeah.
But
no one's fluent apparently. Are you really? 7 years? Okay, don't ask any questions.
what are you most looking forward to outside of the basketball games? Like, what's the thing in your itinerary that you're just kind of excited about?
The wine's probably not a right answer, isn't it?
It's not a wrong one.
I would say outside of the basketball, I think, honestly, as corny as this sounds, seeing how our guys that maybe haven't been out of the country much or at all kind of respond to a new environment. It's a little bit like you're going on a trip with your kids, and you're kind of anxious to see how they respond to, seeing a different place and how much they enjoy it. And everybody's going to be ready to come home, I think, but I'm most looking forward to that. I've been out of the country. I've experienced it. We went to Australia on one of these trips. I love Australia. I'll never do that again. Too long of a flight and too long of a trip. But I think that's what I'm looking forward to.
I remember you mentioning that too. What is it that you've learned from these past overseas trips that you and your teams have taken that you are applying to this one? Like, what's the valuable lesson you've taken out of those past experiences that you're bringing forward?
I think early we went to the Bahamas once, which I think Dad went one time. In Canada. I think they went to Canada and the Bahamas. Dad had it figured out, right? Get those trips, those quick trips. But I think maybe the tone of our preparation's been a little bit different. We tried to get our guys prepared physically to go over there and play games, but I think my first trip to the Bahamas, it was more like we were. And we've been practicing, but we were practicing in July. And I tried to stay a little bit away from that. And then not to make too much of the game. When I went to the Bahamas with my Gardner Webb team, we had film sessions. Guys don't want to do film sessions in July. Our assistants don't want to do film sessions in July. So we might watch a little bit of film, but that's changed maybe a little bit. We'll talk about, we'll have film that we'll gather and probably break down individually once they come back in the fall from this, but I don't know we'll do a whole lot there.
Are any of the coaches' families going? Any of the players' families meeting you there?
Yeah, Eagle would know more on, we do have, I think, several of the coaches' wives are going. They have to pay, so it's an expensive trip. But I think almost every coach's wife, except for maybe one, is going. And I don't know that we have any players' parents going. I don't know that we do, that I know of, just because of the expense of the trip.
And then I just wanted to be clear, Could CJ Walker have played if he went with you, or is he not allowed to play in his games?
He could have.
Okay.
Yes. And we talked about it, and I kind of said, hey, do you want to play? And he was kind of like, he was kind of 50-50, and I said, hey, listen, let's have go enjoy some time. But yeah, it's a new rule. He could have played, but he's not going to play next year. That was a big reason why.
Coach, I know you talked to Brenda Tracy, you and the team last week, had that set the expectation thing. Can you just talk a little bit about that experience and then what your plans with the set the expectation game is going forward?
Yeah, I don't have any specific plans on the particular game with Brenda. And that was kind of something I just said after hey, something I'd like to do in the future. I think it'll be this year. Maybe we'll have to look at it and say it's this year or next year. She's tremendous. I think she's it was an emotional afternoon. It's an hour. It was kind of an hour session, and I thought the football team and our basketball guys were tremendous. They were so attentive. Their questions were outstanding, and she did a great job explaining her perspective. She had a very traumatic. She's a victim. She had a very traumatic experience. And I think when you hear that perspective, not many of us, maybe take the time to sit down and really listen to that. And she's powerful in her presentation. She's a strong advocate, and we want to support her in any way we can and support, obviously, that cause.
Yeah, my question is goofy by comparison. On the offbeat, you mentioned the food.
Yeah.
Would you not consider yourself an adventurous eater? And what are you expecting to run into over there that you're not able to consume?
Say that the last part again.
Are you worried about ordering? Or you're fluent, so that shouldn't be an issue.
That's right. That's right.
You're just worried about finding something that suits your taste buds?
It's the latter. Yeah, I am, and this some of you guys may know this. I am the most boring. I have the most boring palate.
Meat and potatoes.
It's yeah. That might even be a little extravagant for me.
Well, don't apologize.
Okay, yeah. So it's I get in a rut, and there's probably local restaurants here that would say, golly, that guy, Coach Holtmann, we just figured out who he was, and he's been here for like the 5th straight day. And it's true. So I get in a rut. My wife actually said it this morning. She was like, I don't know what, I don't know what you're going to eat over there, knowing your eating pattern and habits. She'll be fine. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. And I don't know how our guys will respond to that, but it's Spain. It was last night. My wife said, I do not know what you're going to eat over there, Chris, and I'm a little concerned. She was like packing stuff, and my daughter yelled from the living room, there's got to be a McDonald's over there. So, yeah, so we'll see if there is one.
All right, thanks,
Okay, thanks, guys.